All right, folks, it is 3 after. We're going to get things rolling. Good morning. Hope everyone is staying healthy and safe. For those folks that don't know me, I am Jim Fogler, president of the Florida Press Association. Welcome and thank you for joining our VIP roundtable discussion on public notice. This roundtable is brought to you by and will be presented by our Diamond Elite sponsor, Column. And let me say how excited we are to continue to provide our FPA members a robust statewide site with our new tech partners, Column. Small reminder, this session is being recorded, and if you have any questions, please feel free to use our chat feature, and we'll get to as many as we can throughout the session. Because we're such a small group, I think you could open up your mic and ask any questions to Kevin, Jake, Huck, or myself throughout the session. We're also going to save some time at the end for a Q&A. Before I introduce a few members of Column, Sam and I would love to bring everyone up to speed on what we've been doing getting ready for Jan 1 when the new law goes into effect. First off, after the bill passed, we went into action and created 2 task forces. One is a tech team, and the other one is focused on marketing and communications. A lot of you on the call have team members that join our weekly calls, and some of you guys are on our weekly calls. And as you know, much has been accomplished, so thank you. Most of the focus has been loading our members' guns with the understanding of the bill, and we've created talk tracks for internal use with bill references, an infographic with talk tracks, which is a shorter version of that to send out to government officials. And then we compiled an 11-page Q&A based on all the questions we've been getting for our members. After I'm done speaking, I will put a link to our resource center if you don't have that at your fingertips. We've also just completed 6 customizable newsletters for each newspaper to make their own, becoming the public notice experts in your local markets. So important today. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we've been creating public notice best practices and sharing them via our e-bulletin. We do have plans to continue promoting public notice. We're going to have a public notice day to educate young freshman legislators. That is imperative moving forward because a lot of our older legislators are moving off, and we need to educate our young legislators about who we are. We are looking at February 3rd to take the Hill and have our public notice day. Our plans will also include creating a few new campaigns, one being a testimonial campaign on the importance of notices being noticed in our papers and websites. So we are not taking our foot off the gas, gang. We are keeping our foot on the gas. On the tech side, we're in the process of modernizing our site, hence why we're here today with our partners from Column, which you'll hear about in a few seconds. And we're in the process of creating 3 robust dashboards for our bill sponsor, which will show him the changing public notice playing field with web only, total traffic, and total notices on our site. You know, I've coined this acronym NWBAGT. What that means is now would be a good time. So I'm asking everybody on the call to please take a look at your site, make sure it's up to snuff, make sure your site has local notices on them and we're not leapfrogging to our site. And you guys have a search feature as part of your site. And if not, please have the Florida Public Notice search widget on your site that will drive folks to our site for that searchability feature. And then if you do have the search feature on your site, then plan on having your public notice, Florida Public Notice widget that gives folks access to be able to do alerts because that is also part of the bill. And this will also ensure that folks are being driven to the aggregated site. So gang, with 8 days and counting to the launch of our new site, I don't want to steal any of Column's thunder on what's next on the tech front. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our new partners, Jake Seaton and Kevin King and Huck from Column. So Kevin, Jake, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jim. We really appreciate the intro and are very, very excited to be working with FPA and all the members who, of course, have joined us today and hopefully watching this recording later on the work we'll do together transitioning the statewide public notice website. And then hopefully working with a lot of you on adoption of Column's enterprise public notice platform. I'm going to say a whole lot more here in this conversation, but I want to briefly pass it to our CEO, Jake Seaton, for a quick introduction.
Hey folks, I'm Jake. I'm the founder and CEO of Column. I think most of you know me at this point, but for those of you that don't, my family's been in the newspaper business for about 5 generations throughout the Midwest. We have papers in Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Wyoming. We started Column out of the extra conference room of the Manhattan Mercury, which is our flagship that we purchased in 1915 to try to help the family company modernize the way that they were serving their customers in the public notice business, and got involved with some of the work that the Kansas Press Association was doing to support the future of this revenue category in the state legislature. And since then, that technology has been adopted by about 12 or 13 press associations now, as well as a good chunk of the big enterprise publishing companies, including McClatchy and Ogden, Lee Enterprises, Wick Communications, Washington Post, which Kevin's got up here. So we've got a great team that are really committed to building the software here to support the industry's role in distributing information to their communities, and have been really excited to work with associations and great folks like Jim on supporting this from the policy side as well. So Kevin leads our work with press associations. I'm going to kick it back to him to quarterback the conversation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jake. The focus for today's conversation is really going to be about the work that we do, of course, with associations on statewide public notice websites. I do want to take a moment at the beginning of this presentation to call attention to something Jake, of course, just referred to, which is really part of our core business here at Column, which is our enterprise public notice platform. And we've developed a workflow solution that helps newspapers and their notice clients really streamline and have a more effective and efficient process when it comes to getting notices placed and published. But again, we are going to focus really on the right side of the screen here today to talk about the work we're doing with FPA and all of you as members on modernizing the statewide public notice website. So first and foremost, we have really focused here at Column on trying to help the industry, and of course, notably the associations, up their game when it comes to the display and functionality of online public notice websites. That includes a variety of features that, as Jim alluded to, we will be helping kind of modernize in the approach that FPA has. But things like mobile-friendly functionality to make sure any citizen and user of the Florida Public Notice site can access that from their mobile phone. A lot of really advanced date, location, and publication filters, but also some of the standard things that we now come to expect with searching for information on a website here in 2021. Notice type categorization is going to be a unique feature and component of the sites that we've developed. This really is focused on improving that experience for those users and for those citizens that might not know the exact keyword of a notice that they've arrived at the site to look for, but might care about a type of notice in general, whether that's looking at all foreclosures happening in a specific county. And having that functionality will be equipped on our site. And then we've got email and texting alert functionality enabled across the site that will be powering for the FPA. This, of course, enables folks to come in and sign up to get those alerts to notices they care about, and can custom set the frequency with which they want to receive those alerts, whether it's a daily digest or weekly or even monthly, and giving some good control and power to those users in that experience. One of the things that we really pride ourselves here at Column and in our work with our partners is also reaching an important standard of ADA compliance with the design and functionality of the sites that we've developed. So all of our sites have reached a threshold of key ADA compliance, and that of course comes from the American Disabilities Act and helps set those standards for what web experience should be for folks. At the most basic level, what that means is our site is compatible with most screen reader technology that exists out there on the web, as well as takes into account things like font and weight and color. And then the thing that I get most excited about in these conversations and the beginning of new partnerships like this is the many more exciting features and tools and functionality that we can develop with the association. We have given an open invitation to FPA and certainly to you all as members, as you have ideas, to really help us up the game on what the standard for these sites should be. We believe that is kind of the key part of what will help continue to grow these relationships and also equip the publishing industry with the best possible tools and the cutting edge technology to continue to protect and expand this category of business. And that I think is particularly exciting. So I want to just talk a little bit about logistics and call attention to kind of where we are in the process of working with you all as members on this transition. When we sat down with FPA a little over a month ago, we conceptualized a pretty clear two-phase process to getting this site implemented. Phase one sort of followed a standard playbook that Column has executed in a variety of states at this point for helping members transition their process of uploading notices to a new site. And I'll talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to spend some time here talking about phase two of this partnership, which is really unique to the dynamics that have unfolded here in Florida with the passing of the new legislative package and some of the new standards that have been set as far as reporting and verification and categorization of this process, which we'll talk a bit about. But we are in the thick of phase one at this point. We have really in earnest last week started the outreach process of working with every single FPA member on getting them set up and configured in our new system for uploading their notices. The great part here is, for the most part, this is really status quo, and not much is needing to change for individual members when it comes to participating in the transition of this site. We are offering really the same two core options that have been offered to members for participating, which includes uploading notices via an XML feed, where we provide a file location and credentials that your publications can send notices in a structured feed, and we will get displayed and parsed onto the site. But then also for those folks who might not have any sort of feed structure set up and maybe don't publish as high volume of notices, we have a really easy to use web form where folks can log into their Column account through the FPA system, select the date that they're uploading notices for. If you have multiple publications, those will be displayed in a dropdown, and then a drag and drop file folder or copy and paste content to get your notices sent and loaded into the statewide site. One of the things we've tried to focus on here at Column in helping members through this transition is really providing a couple of different administrative tools and functionality, both for members themselves as well as the association. So one thing you can expect in using the new statewide site is going to be some helpful reminder emails on when you should be uploading to make sure that you stay accountable and on top of that process. These sites are only as effective as the data quality is accurate and up to date as far as notices being published across the state. So it's really important to stay diligent and set up a system that makes sure folks are uploading in a timely manner. And then the second is really just to reduce some of the friction that might come up if there were to be an issue or a mistake that would be made. Let's say you've got a staff member that uploads a notice but realized they selected the wrong date, or it was actually a duplicative of some kind. Within the Column tool, your staff will have some administrative control to go into the archive of the notices that you've uploaded for your publications to make some edits there. So you don't have to quite worry about a long ticketing system to get things resolved. You can help address those issues as they come up. Within the Column platform, we have a live chat box in the bottom right-hand corner where we have a full-time support team that will be available to help answer questions for your staff as they navigate this process in the coming weeks and months. So I want to take a moment and blueprint for folks what will come after phase one. And that is the work that we'll do together in helping reach some of the new standards that have been set by the changes to public notice law in the state of Florida. So the key milestone here in phase one is to launch the new redesigned site. That's coming up here next Friday on October 22nd. But what we'll enter into after Friday is a lot of new product development that we're working with FPA on for phase two. And that includes a couple of key things that are going to require participation from FPA members on. The screenshots that you see here up on my screen can kind of help reflect a little visualization of what you can expect. But the first is going to be a quarterly verification survey that's going to help identify some of the new requirements that we need members to be filling out and tracking when it comes to compliance with the new state law. And then the other on the right side are some really exciting dashboards. And as Jim mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, we're compiling, I believe it's 3, it could end up being 4 or 5, depending on the kind of information that we want to surface. But this is unique, of course, for the bill sponsor and for the state to kind of understand what the health is on public notice and in particular of the site. And so those will be dashboards that will provide both for FPA and that we do expect in some capacity will be made publicly available for folks. So let's jump back into to call attention at least to where we are today and what's happening on the transition here of the statewide site. We began member outreach. I apologize for not updating this slide exactly from when we last met last week, but we started member outreach last week in reaching out to folks to start to provide them access and credentials to their column account to really focus on what are those what options they're using to upload notices. And so that's what we've been focused on here and are continuing in earnest this week in working with folks. We have targeted next Friday, October 22nd, as the launch date for the redesigned Florida site. What's nice about it being a Friday, of course, is we'll have a little bit of the weekend hours to quality check and troubleshoot any issues that might come up when we make that transition. But we've been working closely with the past providers of the FPA site on this transition, helping compile the information we need. And part of that includes also access to the archive of notices that you all as a membership have been uploading over the years, and making sure that that is available for citizens on the day of launch to be able to access. And then, as I mentioned, we'll enter really step 3 here, which is phase 2, and the work that we'll do between now and the end of the year to compile those dashboards, to fill out the quarterly survey that we'll need members to complete as we head into the new year and begin and when the new law takes effect. So if you're watching this video or if you've tuned in here to join us, and you have not heard anything about this process to date, we need to change that. And so hopefully you've seen plenty of email communication come through your inbox at this point. But if you have not, I would love folks to take a moment while you're engaged here, open your inbox, send an email to info@column.us. Go ahead and title that something related to FBA public notice site. And then send us your point of contact and publication names that you are responsible for uploading notices to the site for. Many of you joining this call might not be the actual person responsible for uploading, or it could be someone in your IT department or production department. So please make sure to provide correct information there on who's going to be the best point of contact for the column team to be engaged with. We've at this point been pretty fortunate already to make our way through most of the membership to identify this information. But there are still a few folks that we're looking to get a hold of and make sure that they are in a good position come next Friday to start uploading notices to the new site. So once you reach out to us, we will provide that login information and credentials that you need.
Kevin, I also provided the where folks can get resources, all the marketing and communication stuff that I mentioned early out. I put that also in the chat feature.
Perfect. Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
Alrighty. Before we jump into a bit of Q&A, I do want to call attention to something I mentioned here at the beginning of the conversation, which is part of Column's core business is not just a statewide public notice website, but a pretty comprehensive enterprise publisher platform that helps folks across the country who manage newspapers to publish notices do so in an effective and an efficient manner. We've developed kind of an end-to-end platform that allows the newspaper staff that's responsible for managing this process, your legals department, your classified folks, to have an easy-to-use tool where they can log in, track orders, and walk folks through the steps in the process that they need to execute on public notice. That includes things like a digital affidavit system that helps save folks quite a bit of time in the process, or as one of our users used to call the arts and crafts of creating an affidavit. They've been able to start to streamline and save quite a bit of time on. We help provide some billing tools, pagination and design functionality, and really wrap around notifications to make sure everybody, both on your staff as well as the customers that your staff is interacting with, are up to date on orders moving through the publication process. On the other side of our enterprise platform, we have some really easy to use order entry tools for those clients and customers. Kind of functions a bit in a self-serve manner where folks can log in, utilize a variety of templates that we can customize with your publication to answer a few questions, and then from there, auto-generate the content of the notices that they need to submit to your publication. Someone that's maybe changing their name for the first time and not quite sure what they need to do can utilize these templates that we set up. Or the county clerk that sure knows what they've been doing and have maybe been doing it for the past few decades can now save some time in their week, logging in, dragging and dropping and uploading files, and getting that information sent to your staff to process those orders. And we've been really encouraged so far to date to sort of see the adoption of this platform across the country. The other thing I want to highlight, which is really special and unique here in the relationship with Florida, is part of our enterprise platform does include customized online local display sites for publishers. So we'll pick on the Miami Herald here, who currently utilizes an example of our legal notice display site, where we can help provide that search functionality that's critical here as part of the new requirements with the Florida bill, and provide that local engagement that you can provide to your customers and to your community members for online notice content. The other great thing about the enterprise platform is you won't have to worry about uploads to the statewide site, because that is automated in the back end of our system. So not worrying about XML feeds or a manual web form. By using the enterprise platform, as notices are fed into the system and published, we can then feed those to the statewide site that we've, of course, built here for FPA. And that's really exciting. Alrighty, I've been talking a little bit. I will go ahead and take a brief pause and open things up for questions and conversation about the process that I've laid out.
Hey, Kevin, I'll jump in first here. I got a call yesterday about the electronic affidavits, notary, the whole process. Could you just highlight what that looks like on your enterprise product?
Yeah, great question. So what we do at the most basic level is work with your staff on taking the template that they utilize for their affidavits today and embedding that into our system to auto-generate with each order. So regardless of whether you have taken steps towards exploring things like digital notarization or e-signatures, at the most fundamental level, we can take that maybe Word document template that you've been working off of, or maybe if you have an advertising system in which there's a templated affidavit, what we do is embed that into the system. And then we can also do variations on that affidavit template. So if you serve multiple counties with your publication and you need a few different pieces of information to be different by affidavit, we can support a multi-affidavit template functionality. So that auto generates with each order by simply clicking a create affidavit button, but we can also bulk generate those. And then from the system, this little dashboard you see here on the left side of the screen, you can actually download all the affidavits that your staff needs to create at once, fill those documents out, get them notarized, and then upload them in bulk as well. Once you have scanned copies of those completed affidavits, and through the system, we'll then auto distribute them to the customers by matching them with their respective orders. So there's kind of a sliding scale of functionality that comes with our affidavit tool. At the most basic level, template generation. If your organization has taken steps to do more advanced things like digital notarization, we have functionality to help support that as well.
Thanks, Kevin. All right, what else is burning on everybody's mind? I'll throw one more question out there. So Kevin, I'm currently, uploading to the Florida Public Notice site, October 22nd. What happens? I mean, what do I need to change anything? What are you asking? What are you asking me to do?
Yeah. So great question. If you have historically logged into Florida Public Notices and used the web form to upload your notices, that means starting October 22nd, instead of logging into where you've historically, you'll log into your column account and use a very similar looking web form starting that day to upload your notices. You should then bookmark that web form and come back to it on a daily, weekly basis as you upload your notices. So not much will change for you other than the location you're logging into to upload and use that web form. If you send your notices to the FBA site through an XML feed, then over the course of this week, you need to receive updated credentials on where that feed should be sent to and the file location in which those notices will be received. The current provider of the FPA site will, of course, no longer be processing those feeds if you're still sending them to their file location. So we need to provide you at the column team with the updated credentials that you need. Once you've made that switch, it should be pretty hands-off for you as well. And you can expect the very same process you've been doing, and just know that those notice feeds are now being sent to the proper location. So again, really kind of inheriting the status quo here, but the focus is between now and next Friday to make sure you have had a conversation with the column team that meets the needs that you have for uploading to the site.
You know, another question that came up during the last session, gang, was will we run parallel sites with the old site and the new site? And the answer is no, we're not going to. We are going to flip the switch on the 22nd. And because Kevin and team are working right now on moving that data over, and it's a lot of data. But on the 22nd, we will be ready to migrate everything over. Matter of fact, it will be done before that. So we'll be testing way ahead of time to make sure that when we do flip the switch, we'll be ready.
Absolutely. We've had the great experience in the past year of doing a handful of transitions with associations, and in the instances where we tried to run parallel sites, that never really worked out well for everybody involved, creates confusion. We think a nice, clean go live date really helps kind of get folks across the finish line. We also know that not everybody will be there, perhaps come next Friday. And so, we will be working diligently with members post Friday, especially ones who have not quite made that switch, to make sure they do. We'll have some placeholder messaging on the site, acknowledging to the broader community and all Floridians that, we're in the middle of transitioning the site, and to expect that transition is still ongoing. But it really comes down to the work that all of us can achieve on doing this in a timely manner.
Hey, Kevin, before we move on, I mean, we have a bunch of folks on the call that I've never seen on one of these calls, and I know Sam Morley's on the call. Anybody have any questions burning on the bill or anything that you want us to answer on that front? Because we're happy to, especially with Sam, who worked really closely with the bill sponsor. We're happy to answer that question or questions. Okay.
So James, the reason why I'm a little quiet here is because I know that our legal teams and classified teams have been involved, all the way through in this process. I'm part of a few meetings and with Nancy and folks, and we are trying to figure out certain strategies on the outside and pricing. I'm dabbling into it now, so I can't really have a specific question about the bill itself. I was hoping that this call was going to give me some of that overarching data and information. Is there anything out there that I can look at as a starting point for that?
Yeah. So Orlando, and this, I mean, as part of what we do, we don't really talk about the pricing.
No, I know.
I mentioned those two committees. Sharon Hayden's on one of those committees, and and that resource link that I just put on the chat will get you all the Q&As that are answered based on the bill. But what I can tell you is, don't wait till Jan 1 to get out there. And I know Nancy's all over this, and I know we've talked to the teams about bundle strategies. There's a lot of good things going on as far as how to get out in front of this thing, which you need to do. So if there's anything I could tell you on the best practice front is, if it's been a while since you've talked to those county clerks and you've had that relationship or brought over donuts and, started continuing that relationship, because a lot of folks have gone to a call center on that front. So, but they're looking at that now and bringing it back and really giving it a local focus. And that's what we're saying, now more than ever, you need to build those relationships back that maybe you haven't had for a long time. And it's been like, automatic, where they're just uploading because they know that you're, that you're the, paper of record. This bill opens it up to give more competition, right? So it's just imperative that you don't wait, start now. I know Nancy's all over it, and all those Q&As are on our resource center link. So just click there and you'll have everything you need as far as talk tracks, Q&As, talk tracks that you can send out to local officials. And just know from your team's point of view, Sharon Hayden's been with us from the onset, and she's totally plugged in.
Yeah, I know that, and we've been working on those strategies. I was just wondering if there was anything else. I'm getting a little bit more roped into it, so
Okay.
wanted to get most of the information
You got it.
up front.
Cool. All right. Anybody else? Going once, twice. All right, Kevin, back to you.
Oh, we're all set on our end. I've walked through everything we needed to. I think we made good time here this morning.
Man,
but if there's other information I can dig into that I haven't addressed, Jim, let me know.
Yeah, we're getting good at this. Sam, did I miss anything as far as letting our newspaper partners know what they need to do to, just dot I's, cross T's, make sure you're looking at the site, make sure those public notices are going to the local site, so important. Anything I missed?
No, you covered it well, Jim. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, gang. Man, I'm going to give you guys back a half an hour. So a special thank you to Kevin and Jake and Huck's on the call from Column. We appreciate our partnership very much. Hope you valued this session. We're planning on having these monthly. We're not going to, like I said, step off the gas. It's just so important that we continue to keep the communication lines open. So, thank you again for joining us, and have a great rest of the day, everyone. Thank you.